What color is Nancy Drew's hair?
This feels like it has to. I just want to say I do not know the answer to this, but the fact that it's a question makes me think that the answer has to be something not like the most common.
Well, maybe
so
it's
I'm gonna
a trick question.
Yeah, that's possible. Like, it could just be brown, but like that seems like why would you make the question? So it feels like it has to be some kind of trademark hair color, right? So I'm gonna say pink. No, I'm not gonna say pink. Blonde.
Ding! Whatever the sound is. Yep.
Wait, do you have the soundboard?
One. I have a soundboard on here. I can just do. Do you hear this? No.
No,
Wait.
I don't hear that. Oh my god, that's so
Okay,
loud.
all right. Everybody calm down. We're just figuring out the controls.
So
you got it right.
I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
What's with the glasses?
What's with the glass? So I found these. I ordered 2 pairs. I have the clear ones and black ones a while ago as computer glasses because, you know, I spend a lot of time in my computer. Yeah. And I lost both pairs pretty fast, which is insane to lose 2 pairs of glasses. But I just found them. So I was like, you know what? Let's put them out on the podcast. And
little trial
I
run.
think I pull them off. Yeah. I've always wanted glasses, but I have perfect eyesight. So, you know, I've had no reason to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like a trend, I think, a few years ago where people were wearing like glasses when they had perfect eyesight, and sometimes they didn't even have lenses in them.
Yeah. That was like when the term hipster really like came into the mainstream.
The public consciousness.
Yeah. And a hipster was like someone who wore glasses when they didn't need glasses and had flannels, and that was really weird. I was in middle school at that time, and I remember like when that trend was happening because my cousin adopted that trend himself and like did the typical thing. I remember like when it happened, I was like, I'm going to be a hipster.
Right.
Because
you love flannel.
That. Yeah. I was like, I want to be a hipster, and I want to listen to music no one else is listening to. And then I just listened to like MGMT, and it wasn't
right. Hipsters also were big into like craft beer.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm in Vermont right now. We didn't actually establish that at all.
No, yeah, we have a lot to establish. To be fair,
I'm in Vermont, and I have a local Vermont cider because they make a lot of.
Oh wow!
It's sangria.
Big shout out to Vermont Sangria,
Woodchuck Cider.
Yeah,
company or something.
That's
like
awesome. You know what, Jeff? We do have a lot to cover. One being like, how's Vermont? How how was the trip over? But I also just realized I'm like, this is probably going to be a popular episode because you know.
Oh, because we're talking about Dune.
Yeah,
we're not talking about like a movie about a chimpanzee playing hockey or like a movie about Shaq granting wishes.
Yeah, I was just like, interesting that this is probably going to be some people's first time ever listening to this podcast, and we're like, Nancy Drew's hair. You know,
and also, you know, I never questioned it, but you did a few months ago come up with the idea for a cold open where the trivia question is just like the first thing.
Yep.
We don't say anything else. Like it sounds a little bit like you start like you missed something.
It's a trivia podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trivia What if we do a trivia podcast?
I was thinking about that. I was like, what if we do a podcast where just like we ask each other trivia questions for like an hour and riff off of the answers and like call it what's the answer or something?
Yeah.
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
What's the
Karstcast questions?
Yeah.
It's like the hardest thing to say.
Yeah. Call it quick Karstens.
Quizzical Karstens.
Quizzy Karstens.
Quirky questions.
Quizcast.
Yeah, that's easier. That's better.
Podkarst. Jeffcast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Jeff cast. Like the Karstcast
the
is
Jeff
about
cast is
movies
just
and
a
mine's
trivia.
about trivia, and we just pretend I'm really into trivia.
Jeff's really passionate about trivia. Yeah.
I start
Goes to
making
trivia
YouTube videos that are
festivals.
trivia based. I'm
This
like,
week in the trivia community.
the Memphis Trivia Tournament from 1986 was a landmark trivia tournament. Mark Spencer answered his first 4 questions correctly. That'd be the worst.
That was great.
Yeah.
Great improv, Jeff.
Thank you. I took one improv class when I lived in Chicago.
Nice. How's Vermont?
Vermont, I'm here, one of the weeks when all the leaves change colors. So it's nice.
You said that. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Really.
I'm here with my parents. We went apple picking.
Aw, that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
really
I had
great.
one of the really long, apple picking poles. Where you just like,
I didn't-
yeah, you
You're
get a pole and you
pros.
have to stab the tree until the apples fall
Yeah.
off.
Wow. A pro at play.
Yeah.
Um,
And also I'm
That's
very
all-
tall, so it's like
yeah, you don't even need
born
the
apple
pole.
picker.
You're a pole.
Exactly. Other people just lift me up and I grab the apple.
Yeah. Just how's it feel being on American soil after so many months in Europe?
Yep. I made it back. On the flight, I watched 3 movies back to back to back because the flight was 8 hours. And
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody, Ocean's 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else did I watch? I watched something else. Oh, Black
I
Panther.
remember Black Panther. Was that your first time watching all 3 of those
It
movies?
was yeah.
Wow.
Well, do you really think I would have watched Ocean's 8 a second time if that was not my first? You really think I was like, Ocean's 8, this movie's so good I gotta watch it again?
Yeah. I figured Bohemian Rhapsody the same case, but I was like
Yeah,
Black
yeah.
Panther, like that's a
Bohemian-
good rewatch movie.
Yeah, I definitely get all of the discourse finally about Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
It's a movie that felt like it should have been really good, and the music parts were well done, and then everything in between, you're just like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? It feels like you're reading
Yeah.
like a Wikipedia article about his life. It's like
That's
someone
actually
acting out the Wikipedia article.
That's a great review. You haven't logged it on Letterboxd yet,
I
right?
didn't.
That's a
Yeah,
good
I just
one
came up with
for-
that
for
right
the
now. Although I don't
box.
think people are really like hitting up the Bohemian Rhapsody letterbox right now.
You know, right?
Now, I have a good transition. Normally, Karsten comes up with our transitions to talk about the movie, but I just want to say something I did recently log on Letterboxd. That's not a good transition. I don't know why I set that up. But was Dune? Yeah. I actually, I don't know if it still is, but for a while it was one of the first 10 reviews you
top
see.
reviews.
Yeah.
It was like 600 likes or something. You really
Yeah, it was,
climbed the.
Yeah. It turns out if you review movies on there that people actually watch,
Yeah,
you get a lot more
like
likes.
those, especially when you're one of the first people to watch those movies. Well, hey, I saw it now. I can proudly say I can be one of the first people in North America to have seen it.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
you are one of many European citizens.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both watched Dune, and we should just get into it. We should just talk about it. And
I'm gonna crack open a cold one.
I'm gonna sip on a hot one, and
Sip on a hot one. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that, and I think there's a good reason for that.
we're pushing all new listeners out before we even get to the movie.
People are like sipping on a hot one. I am
Sipping
out.
on a hot one. I will say, as a disclaimer, obviously, that this will be spoiler free for anybody who was wondering that. Jeff and I don't even think we're gonna have a spoiler section. I think we just want to keep it spoiler free.
Yeah, this one especially because almost no one has seen this film yet.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
you say that, but it has almost 100,000 logs on Letterboxd because, like, Europe.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, exactly.
That's a lot of logs. You could build a dam with that.
Build a cabin with those kind of
Yeah,
logs.
so it's all the beavers are envious.
The synopsis for Dune reads, Paul, I'm not going to say his last name because I can't pronounce it. Paul, a brilliant and gifted young man born into a great destiny beyond his understanding, must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people. As malevolent, as male...
Yeah, malevolent.
I was going to say, as malevolent forces explode into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource in existence, only those who can conquer their own fear will survive.
Yeah. Now, the only spoiler is the most precious resource in existence is love.
Yeah. That's not even... Okay, well, I was actually going to say what it was. Which, I'm like, why did they keep it out? That's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
It's spice.
I guess they just wanted to emphasize that it's the most important one. It doesn't really matter what that resource is.
They're desperate to drive audiences to the theaters.
Yeah. They want you to go just to figure out what that resource is.
Millions of people are going to be wondering, what is this resource? Only to be let down by the fact that it's just sand, basically.
It pretty much is, yeah.
Yeah. It's directed by Denis Villeneuve. This is a new version, by the way. If anyone is unaware, Dune was a movie in the 80s as well, but before that it was a book. Mm-hmm. Jeff, you haven't read the book.
No. Did you ever finish the book?
I'm about halfway through it. So yeah, That's
what I've read. A lot of people say the best way to watch films based on books is you read
halfway through the book. Well, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, I think I experienced this the exact way I should have, because I read enough of the book to get a lay of the land and to understand the characters and the world and what's going on, because I prefer to get my exposition read to me through the book rather than the movie. And that way I was able to go into Dune not confused and still get the thrill out of like the spoilers and the
you know what, I did say that as like a condescending joke, but I have actually, that's changed my mind. I agree that is what everyone should do. I'm
just saying, I also
make a video
was like,
on that.
I really should. Book before like movie, movie before book.
Yeah, and the answer is half of the book.
Half the book. Going with half the book. Because and while I was watching the movie, I got to the point where I stopped reading, and I was like, okay, let's see what happens now. let's see what actually happens to these characters.
When you were reading the book, did you picture Timothy as the main character?
Yeah, I did. I pictured Tim. Yeah. Well, actually, as I was reading the book and new characters were introduced, I got really curious of who they were going to be casted as and who was playing who. And as I kept going, I was like, oh, Josh. Is it Josh? Josh Brolin is going to be Gurney, and Duncan Idaho is going to be Jason Momoa, and Oscar Isaac's the Duke. And then, like, fucking, I forget his name, but one of the Skarsgårds, like the old one, is the Baron. And I was just like, wow, this is such a perfectly casted movie. And that's honestly my first compliment for it, is that perfect cast. Like, everyone is so good. They got the actor who played the principal, not the principal, but the theater teacher in Lady Bird. I'm sure he's been in more than just that. But he was, what's his face? He was great. Yeah. Getting that in-depth review here.
Good old what's-his-face.
Good old what's-his-face.
Lady Bird's teacher.
Yeah, Lady Bird's teacher. Yeah, but we both of our reviews are out on Letterboxd, so people already kind of know what we think. But I think we both very much enjoy this movie.
Yeah. I have still never seen Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know why I just brought that up right now. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I know vaguely why, but I feel like I kind of inserted that very bluntly, I had something else to say.
That's a good talking point. Because Denis. Okay, let's talk about that. Because it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who Blade Runner. He did Blade Runner 2049. That was his last movie, and then he obviously did like Arrival and like Sicario and Prisoners and all these very moody movies. And 2049 was like this, like giant, like art house blockbuster movie that's like very kind of airy and abstract and was a flop. is my point. It was like not successful at all, which is why everyone thought that this was going to be a flop. And one of my first reactions like watching this was that this is a very like blockbuster, like accessible movie in my opinion. I think this is like it'll be a success for sure. And there'll be a part 2 and
that was what I was getting at, is that I know Blade Runner was not successful, and it was the same. Again, having not seen it, my interpretation of it, was that it was some kind of grandiose, giant thing, but this, and again, as you say, for you, Blade Runner doesn't feel as accessible, you think, to like the masses?
Yeah, no.
I mean, also it's sequel in of itself for a movie that was like already like not 35 years old or something.
Well, yeah. Well, Blade Runner also, the first one was like kind of a sleeper at first, from what I know, and it's like my point. We just ended up talking about Blade Runner, but that's like I don't know. Dune, which was also a flop. For the record, the original Dune was actually like a disaster. I actually started watching it today because I'm going to do a whole Dune retrospective and review the movie, the old one, and the book. So I started watching the old one today, and oh my god, it is like it's pretty bad. But like it's just a very different approach to this movie, where it's like an 80s action kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Now Dune to me, just as someone who's not read the book, it felt how I imagined Star Wars felt to people in like, when that came out. It's this like very grand space opera thing, and but it's like surprisingly accessible, but you have to really like make your brain work if you don't know who any of these people are beforehand to like connect the dots as the film's going on.
Totally. Yeah.
But I did understand what was happening, which I felt like was a victory for the film. Because when the film started, the first 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to understand what's going on in this film.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it ended up working out.
That's what I was thinking, because I was kind of watching the first half from the eyes of someone who, like you, or like my parents, or someone who's unfamiliar with Dune, and actually like didn't read the book, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm like, you'd think that the history that not only the director has, but also Dune has, that they would try and make it really accessible so that this doesn't fail, especially because they want a sequel. So I was like, okay, they're probably going to make this first half like really easy to understand, and they didn't. It was like really, it was super exposition heavy, but still kind of hard to understand. But like you said, I think by like an hour in, which feels crazy to say, but like it's hard not to figure out what's going on. Yeah, it gets very simple very fast.
I think even if it stayed like that and I wasn't sure what was happening, I would have been okay with it, because this is a film where, whenever they cut to like an ultra wide shot of like spaceships and stuff, and just like the scale of it, you're just like, all right, I'm in. Like, because this was, I think, one of the first films. I think it was the second film I've seen in a theater in the last, year and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
it
was Bergman Island. So Bergman Island was like, there was a whole year where that was the only film, because I was like, nothing's gonna top Bergman Island. So I didn't even go to theaters.
Nothing to do with the pandemic. It's just
it's just nothing's gonna top Bergman
Island. It's just a belief. Yeah. But yeah, I do think that this is like absolutely, you have to see it on a big. That's the thing. I did see it at a press screening, which meant not seeing it in like IMAX, and I definitely plan on seeing it again, at least like twice, to be honest. There's like people that want to go see it, so I'm like, I'll just join you guys.
So one of the people I saw it with in France, they saw it again the following day.
Wow. I would do the same, to be honest. It's just such that's the thing, it's such a fun movie. It's a lot like, actually kind of like you said, it's like kind of like Star Wars, where it's long but like so fun, and it's like you can watch it over and over again and like not just keep picking up on new things and not get bored of it. And
Yeah, just again, because the scope of the film and the scale of it is something you just like get mesmerized by.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's something I think unique to space films that are done well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where, I don't know, there's this like inherent wonder about it.
Yeah.
That kind of translates.
That's actually a good like topic to bring up, because I do think, even though this is a space film, like it doesn't feel like that just because it's all like sand and like it doesn't take place in like the stars or anything.
Right,
I mean, there's those shots, but yeah, it just looks stunning, but has all the same qualities of like a space film where you're like, these are weird people and they're speaking in a different language. And
Which I want to say, I guess France is one of the few countries where this is an issue. They did not. I was watching it in English with French subtitles, but when they spoke in an alien language, they did not subtitle the alien language into English.
Yeah,
it was only
French
in the French
up on the screen.
Yeah, so I had to lean over to the person next to me every time they spoke in an alien language and have them then translate that into English, and they were like, "This is weird. It makes it feel like I understand what the alien language is," because they'd be like, and then I'd be like, "What?" And they'd be like, "The Emperor is going to see you now." And I was like, "What?" So it just felt like I had some alien language translator.
It's so... You've told me that before, and it's just like my favorite story. I kept telling it to people when we were at the festival, and the people I was sitting with, once the first like subtitles came on, we all laughed because we were just like... I'm just like picturing that being French, and you're just being like, what the hell?
Yeah. I know. I was just like, oh no. And then every time it happened, like the person next to me like already was looking at me because I had to be like, Yeah.
Oh man.
Apparently, other countries, I think, like the Netherlands, they had English and Dutch subtitles and stuff. Like other countries did it in a way that made sense, but France is like, nah, we're not doing English subtitles.
Yeah.
Also,
like
the film was called Dune Part 1, which I don't think it was in America.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, was it that on like the website or the theater or something?
Yeah, I think the official title in France is Dune Part 1.
Wow, yeah. I mean, because that is what it is. I guess they're just like not marketing.
Yeah, they're just they're very confident in the French market that it's going to play.
Yeah. It's already made $100 million for the record.
But it had to have cost like 4 times that, right? Like,
yeah. So I don't know.
Do we know the budget?
I'm actually going to look it up right now. Dune budget. It was 165 million. So actually, it's 100% going to make its money.
Oh
back. Yeah. What was your? Let's talk about the worm. That's not a spoiler.
Yes,
'cause the worm was in the
everyone
trailer,
knows the worm,
and everyone knows the worm. Everyone, the dance move is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
everyone knows the worm.
I mean, you feel it. Okay, real quick, Karsten, you absolutely feel like in high school you were a worm guy. You have the vibe of someone who would break out the worm on like a gym floor or something.
I would have, had I not been able to do a backflip, but instead I was a backflip guy.
Okay, you were a backflip. Yeah, that's like a talented worm guy.
When the circle opened up, it's like there was always that moment where I went in there and I did a backflip, and everyone went crazy.
Yeah.
And those
backflips are much better.
Yeah. Because there was a worm guy that would have to follow me up, and everybody would be like, ah, boo!
Yeah. Anyways, the worm in Dune.
Yeah. I thought he was cool.
Yeah. He was cool. He had a lot of teeth.
Yeah. I mean, the worm's reveal is a big thing,
Yeah.
Literally. Well, okay, the worm, I remember when I was reading the book, I had read that part in the book when the worm first shows up. And that scene in the book, first of all, I pictured it exactly how it ended up in the movie. I was so happy because I was like, this is exactly... And by the way, that's just one of the biggest issues about the David Lynch version, because nothing in that movie is like the book, is what I realized watching it. I was just like, what the hell is going on here? But for some reason, this other movie, it was just perfect. And yeah, that was one of my favorite, like, scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Was that first worm scene.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Okay, real quick, the David Lynch version. What's wrong with the worm?
The worm. Well, I paused it before I got to the worm part. I'm speaking just generally about other scenes, like the box scene, and but I have seen stills of the worm in that movie, and it's not. It doesn't even touch this one.
It's a tiny worm. It's just an earthworm.
Yeah. The most
It's
hilarious.
like a macro shot of an earthworm.
Yeah, they're just. The
All
worst part
practical
about
effects.
the David Lynch one is, how in this movie when they do like fights and like sword fights, there's like that shield around them that's like blue and like whatever the fuck, the force field. The David Lynch one, that's just a big like box. It's just a big like really fake box that they go around in, and it looks horrible. It looks terrible. Anyway, yeah, the worm was really cool.
Yeah.
What else? Did you like Timothy in the movie? Did you think he was a good Paul?
The thing, about Paul and Timothy as Paul is, there's very clearly supposed to be this air of mysteriousness, which is kind of supposed to, like, Timothy really had to strip away a lot of his natural charisma.
Totally. Yeah. He's a very like,
where like in Little Women, Timothy's the most likable character that's ever existed in cinema.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in this, it's like he is pretending that he's on some kind of like psychedelic drugs the whole film.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like spacey and
it's
like,
really sad and like out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
it's
that's
those years in Little Women when he was gone. There's like
Right.
the gap in the time period. Yeah.
right. Which,
This is how he
speaking of
was.
Timothy, he I don't know if you've seen the picture, but a picture just released of him today as Willy Wonka. He's going to be Wonka in the Willy Wonka prequel that's coming out.
See, again, that's going to be a weird one because there's like a lot of
gonna be
weird
really
charisma
weird.
in that, but it's like
Yep.
forced charisma. So he's just going for the like just the charisma like roller coaster
Yeah.
of his roles.
Yeah. And he's got like the Wes Anderson role, which we both haven't seen
Yeah.
yet, and that's going to be
Yeah.
interesting.
Which was that at the New York Film Festival?
It was, but I was there after the press screenings, and I couldn't get tickets for the normal screenings.
Yeah, we
But I'm
in the
seeing
intro
it-
for this episode, we forgot to mention that that's where you were.
Yeah. Well, I figured we'd cover it in a different. We just
Yeah,
get
we'll
right
do
into
that.
the
We'll
meat
we'll do it
this
after we
week.
talk about Dune.
But yeah, I'm seeing the French Dispatch in like 3 days. I'm really excited. At
Oh,
the
yeah?
Chicago International Film Festival opening night.
Are you
at the Music
are you
Box.
pressed for that?
Nope. I bought the very expensive tickets for that festival.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you get to see
I
it
thought-
like what, a
yeah.
whole week early.
Whole week early. Yeah. I thought Timothy was good in this movie. I think he like gets this. He's very boyish in the way that I feel like I would imagine Paul to be. I was gonna say I always pictured Paul, but it's like I didn't know Paul before Timmy. Yeah, I think he really works as the character, even if he has like very little personality. I think there's enough happening around him to work, because I feel like the movie is different from like him causing things and more like things keep happening to him. Like he was put into this situation, and
Yeah.
I think he's got a good like personality and presence to really carry that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you, and I think, as you said before, the entire film is very well cast.
Yeah,
Like Oscar Isaac, which
He's so good.
Yeah, he's great. Jason Momoa, like for that role, is perfect.
I was
Also,
yeah.
okay, the name Duncan Idaho is
such a
the
good-
funniest name.
Well, it's so funny when they say, because it's like they're in space, supposed to be on this like other planet, other world, and then they're like Duncan, Idaho, and I'm like, all right, that's
He
it's like
sounds
most
like a
southern ass,
like a
name.
cowboy show from the 70s.
Yeah,
with like
Some
an action
monster
figure or
truck
something, right? Yeah.
driver.
Duncan Idaho.
Duncan, Idaho. Yeah,
It's like,
but
I
he
didn't
was.
know we had
Yeah,
country rodeo men in space, but I guess
Yeah.
so.
I really
Rodeo,
liked
tradition that
him.
lasts forever.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's the perfect. If you're gonna compare us to Star Wars, he's Han Solo.
Yeah, he's on. Yeah,
He's just the cool like guy who's good at driving spaceships.
yeah. Yeah, and then Zendaya, who I think people are expecting a lot of a Zendaya, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say she's not in this movie a whole lot.
Yeah, not a ton.
Just a heads up, she's really not in it that much, but she's good. She's cool. And yeah, I'm trying to think of what else there is to say without getting into spoilers. But
yeah, let me Google something.
All right. Oh, we didn't do our review section, by the way. I had reviews.
Oh yeah. We
if
did
wanna
not
get
do
into
the review
those.
section.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, my computer's kind of not working that well, but that's fine.
no.
Do you want to read the reviews?
yeah, sure. This first
is,
one.
not just to be clear for everyone listening. This is my favorite part of the entire podcast. Where Karsten finds Google reviews for the movies. So, take it away, Karsten.
This first one comes from Jacob Para. A picture of a dog as the profile. It's a really funny profile picture because the profiles are squares, but this person's profile is like a circle of a dog, so it's got like the white corners. Anyways, 2 stars, and it reads, I love this film so much I could marry it. Keep in mind, 2 stars. To get the best experience, I recommend throwing popcorn at the screen and pouring your drinks on the person in front of you. This show makes Peppa Pig look childish. It's that good.
What?
And 28 people found this helpful.
I don't understand who these people are writing these reviews for.
No, it's not a social media site. Your friends aren't going to see this. Like,
right. All right, what do we got next?
So yeah, this next one is a pretty standard review for us. It's M4S writes, well, they gave it 1 star, and they wrote bad movie with like a bunch of E's, a bunch of R's, and a bunch of E's again.
Yeah.
It's just one of we get those all the time. And lastly, this isn't even that good. This one comes from Jane Jarjay, 5 stars, and it reads, I love it, and I'm a Zendaya character. One person found this helpful.
How is that helpful? Is this
One
person reading
like,
this? They're like, I'm
right.
also a Zendaya character,
Yeah,
so this
okay,
is perfect
so
for me.
if you're a Zendaya character, you're gonna. All right, cool.
Also, what does being a Zendaya character mean?
Zendaya's played lots of different characters. I don't know what a Zendaya character.
Are they Michi?
Yeah.
There's a reference to the Zendaya's Michi song. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those were the reviews.
Yeah. What if you had to write your own Google style review for Dune?
You can't make these things up. It's not that easy. These are once you start trying, they're not as good. It's funny because you're like, I don't know if these people were joking.
Right. I don't know. Like the person
I'm a Zendaya character.
Yeah, and the person on the other film who wrote that it was like 32 minutes in or something, like, I like it so far.
Not so sure yet. Or something like that.
Yeah, not sure yet.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Which is reviewing something before you're even halfway done.
Yeah.
That's groundbreaking stuff.
Right. Cool. I guess this, speaking of time, this is a very long movie, and I thought it was pretty fast. It was way faster than I was expecting. I was like, whoa. I checked the time once because I was curious, and we had like 40 minutes left, and I was genuinely shocked. I was like, wow, this thing is zoomed by. which is cool. You always like a movie like that.
And is the plan for there to be two parts total?
Yes, I asked some people. It's not going to be a trilogy. It's going to be a 2-parter. Which
So I would put it at like 5 hours total. You think?
Yeah. That's the other thing about the David Lynch one. It's like apparently the whole book, but just in a 2-hour and 10-minute runtime, which I
like
just
a speed
don't
run.
think that. Yeah, it just doesn't work as well. Anyways, yeah. We should wrap it up, I guess. Summarize these thoughts. Jeff, you gave it a 4.5.
I did give it a 4.5.
Is so much higher than I expected, just because I just feel like, knowing your taste, I was like, this doesn't seem like the kind of movie that you would love, but you really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that this is the first, blockbuster I've seen in a theater in so long, and it is kind of like that classic awe-inspiring thing to see on a huge screen.
Yeah.
So I went in like the only thing I really wanted from it was for it to be a spectacle, and it definitely is. And then anything on top of that, where like it's, understanding the plot, those are secondary. But I did understand the plot, so I felt like that was just a bonus.
Yeah. Bonus points for understanding the plot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's the same with me. It's like, it's such a great. It just reminds me of like a fun Hollywood blockbuster. Not that it's original material, because it is technically a remake and based off a book. But I'm still like, it's always fun to like go to the theater and have one of these like fun big experiences, and this definitely delivers.
And I think it really is in the same like mold as The Mummy, which we've watched recently on the podcast, where it's one of those films where there's sand, and you show up to the theater and you're like, hell yeah, lots of like action. There's a lot of like stuff going on, big set pieces,
giant set pieces, giant worms,
set pieces, giant worms.
Yeah, what's not to love?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. If you like The Mummy, you're gonna love Dune.
Yep. Awesome. What a great closing line. I guess we'll get into questions then, unless you have any closing thoughts.
No, I honestly I don't.
Awesome. Great. Well, we talked about Dune. Cool. These questions come from our subreddit, r/Karstcast, where you can, ask questions, and
it's really right now.
Yeah, it's died down in that subreddit. It's not as, which I'm not complaining about, for the record. A lot of the grossness that was on there before has kind of left, and I'm waiting for it to come back, but it's so far pretty good.
It's a new day in the Karstcast subreddit. It's like, when the beginning of spring, when the flowers poke through the snow.
Yeah. Cool. This first one goes right to you, Jeff. And it's a good one to ask now that your trip is over, but it's from Roller Skate Butterfly, and it's, Jeff, what do you love most about traveling?
It's a difficult question, but it's a good question. Now, I think I really enjoy just seeing, how other people live in different parts of the world, and just seeing a lot of different things. I also just like, I usually travel just with a backpack, because then it just simplifies your whole life. Like, everything you have to worry about is just in one bag. I don't know. It's just a very freeing experience to be traveling in different countries, seeing different languages, different people, having nothing really to worry about besides like a backpack of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
You don't feel as weighed down by like all the stuff you have.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. Cool. Well, this next one comes from Black Panther Dies, and it's mainly for Karsten. Do you feel like being a more public figure makes you more paranoid about being stalked by obsessed people / weird strangers? Is that something that crosses your mind?
Why did you?
You know
why
what?
did you pick this question?
Because we. Well, my mind went here. I was like, well, that one's just for Jeff. Now I'll answer one just for me. And those are the kind of questions I get.
Mine was such a normal, like, genuine, like, thoughtful question to ask.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed answering and thinking about. And yours was just, like, such a terrifying question.
Yeah.
They're like, do you think people are out to get you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does make me paranoid sometimes, especially at like a concert or something.
Yes.
Where I'm like, I know especially if a concert I'm alone at. I remember I went to a James Blake concert like a year and a half ago, 2 years or something, and I went alone, and I was just like I had like my hat low. I'm not famous. I'm like, I'm not that worried, but I was like, I just don't want to get recognized while I'm alone at this concert. It just feels embarrassing. And yeah, especially recently, every time I've gone to the theater, the Music Box, I've been said hi to by someone, and like it's cool for sure. But it definitely, like, some days I'm like, I've started like leaving the house going like, I really don't want to have to do this interaction sometimes. But that said, that's nothing against the people that say hi. Everybody's always very lovely, and it always does make me very happy to like meet you guys. It is just a thing though, where it's like you don't expect to get like a random tap on the shoulder by someone, and it's just a lot of baggage in your mind that I've had to start carrying with me, especially at like the film festival. It was something I mean,
film festivals and like Music Box are probably the two where you're pretty likely
it happens
to get noticed.
And I think it's only weird just because you're like, you feel like you're being watched while you're there, and I don't want to do anything embarrassing, and then for someone to post in the subreddit like, Karsten spilled like pasta or something. I don't know. Not bringing pasta to the theater. I don't know why that was the first thing.
If anything, I think that would humanize you.
Yeah. They're like,
actually,
he's just like
not
us.
The pasta. He's just like us. He brings a nice rigatoni into the theater.
He also brings a nice bolognese to the movies.
He eats Alfredo in the bleachers at a. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. The actual answer is yes. It makes me think twice about certain things.
I think I would like to be recognized one time. It's never happened, but I wear this hat everywhere.
Jeff wears a shirt that says "I'm Jeff from the Karstcast."
Yeah, and I just every time anyone looks at me, I point at the hat and say,
"It's me." Yeah. That's so funny. I mean, you would have been recognized if you went to New York with me because, as I said to you, and I'll just say it publicly on the podcast, I got to meet patron T Sizzle at the
T Sizzle. Well, at the former patron,
yeah, but
which we hold nothing against people who are former patrons. We love them,
right? But a long time name on the podcast.
Yes,
we've always really liked that name.
Yeah. And how was your interaction with T Sizzle?
Okay? It's a really good interaction, to be honest. It was hilarious. He handled it as blah, blah. Anyways, I sat down and I heard someone go like, "Hey, Karsten," and I was like, "Oh, hi." I was just like, "Okay, that was someone that knows me." And then he like leans in closer and he's like, "It's T Sizzle." And I was like, "No way!" I was like, I stood up. I was like, you're messing with me." And he's like, "That's me." Yeah. And I was like, "Wow, great guy. Very nice to meet you, T Sizzle." Yeah. Especially because it was like the whole theater was empty. We were waiting for a movie to start, and so just everyone could hear us, and they were like, "Who's T Sizzle?" Like, I was more excited to meet him, I think, than he was to meet me. But anyways. That was a good moment. We have one more question, and it's
perfect.
from Educational Bowl 186, and it's, what is the best chip, and do you guys care for chips in general?
The best chip. Okay.
Yeah.
So, are we talking chips like dipping chips or chips by themselves?
I think any chips, to be honest. Like, you can get really
Yeah.
vague with this question.
But we're gonna go American chips, right? Like, we're not talking like
yeah,
fries.
we're not talking fries. Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Okay, here's the thing. I really enjoy the experience of eating Pringles.
I was gonna say that. That Pringles are, you know, they don't make you feel that great, and like, they are definitely not healthy. But anytime I have Pringles in front of me, it's like I savor that experience. Yeah. It's a very active eating experience.
And you also know what you're getting, right? Because the Pringles are all stacked in the exact same spot, so you just go, boop, and then you eat it. Like, you don't have to, like, fish around and, like, get your hand all greasy.
Yeah. Fits on the tongue, you know?
Yeah. I also have very small hands, so I can grab the Pringles at the bottom of the can.
Right.
It's like the claw machine. I'm just like...
Yeah. I also have small hands, so I guess I could do the same.
Yeah.
This
is the shape. This is the shape.
Yep. That's the Pringles shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like I don't know.
It's like a sock puppet.
It's kind of a weird. It's like I feel like I'm doing some kind of hand gesture.
Italiano.
They're like, why did you drop my pasta in the theater?
Why you bring the Alfredo into the movies? The bolognese in the box. Yep. That'll do then for questions.
That'll do.
Next we, I guess, want to wrap things up. We
read a review.
Which
and then I review Karsten's performance on this week's podcast.
Yeah. Wait a second. I'm looking up a review. I was also thinking in the back of my head of what movie to do next week. This one comes from Izzopod, from the USA, and the subject line is, heck yeah, Karstcast, 5 stars, and it reads, wow, life changing, heart eyes emoji. Amazing. It's definitely a podcast.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah. Appreciate it, honestly. Thank you. Great. Well, then next we want to
I evaluate Karsten's performance.
Okay,
Karsten?
Yeah, okay. How'd I do?
Honestly, great job this week.
Thanks, Jeff. You as well, honestly. We really killed it this week.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was more of like a C+, if I'm honest.
No. Give yourself more credit than that. You did great.
C++. That's a computer programming language.
Yeah.
All right. After saying that, it's definitely dropped down to like an F. Anyways, it's now the time where Karsten reads. Oh no, we're going a movie. I was even wrong about it. I was going to say reads the patron names. Do we want to do Titan?
I would love to do Titan.
I haven't seen it, but it's possible for me to see it, right?
I would love to. Obviously, it's my movie of the year. But Jeff, I will just warn you in advance that I don't know. I think you'll like it though. I think you'll like it more than Raw for sure, because it just has more to it than that movie. But,
yeah. How do I see it?
Well, I think it's only in theaters right now, to be honest.
Okay, so I can get to a theater in the next week.
Next week? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, let's go for it. You heard it here first. We'll be talking about... It's actually pronounced T10. I learned that recently.
Because it's French?
Yeah, because it's French.
Wait, is it French?
It is French, yeah. And our programmer at the thing was like, T10. And I was like, oh, I guess that's... But yeah, that's what we're going to watch next week. Yeah. It's available in theaters, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And lastly, I want to thank the patrons. over
Now,
at patreon.com.
If everything goes well, by the time we record the next episode, I will have bought a new mic with Patreon
That
money.
soon. Wow.
That's the plan. It's when I get back to Florida.
Well, guess what? I actually have more to send you, I'm pretty sure. I think I just got sent another batch. So, to really push you over the edge. But yeah, you guys heard that. By supporting us on Patreon, you support us and make the podcast better. This podcast will not exist. It might exist without the Patreon.
It might. I mean, honestly, I would probably just talk to Karsten anyways, even if we weren't doing a podcast.
Yeah. But you guys keep it afloat. You guys can give us the drive to keep making these episodes, and it's just a great community on there as well. A lot of cool perks, and you get to talk to us every month. You get bonus episodes, shout outs at the end of every episode, which I'm about to do. I mean, if you've been a fan of the podcast for a while and you have just a few bucks to spare every month, consider becoming a patron at Patreon.
Yeah, a Patreon a patron on patreon.com/Karstcast. And, even if you're like, hey, I like you guys, but not that much, you can just be a patron for 1 month and you still get access to all the other bonus content of me talking to Karsten.
Give it a chance. Pop in there. See what's going on.
Yeah, you can also, another option is Venmoing me directly. We don't have to tell Karsten about it.
I guess, I can't say anything about that, so.
He'll never
All
know.
that said, thank you. Alex Thomas, Blake Root, Boat, Brandon Yu, Brock Schultz, Camilla, Chuck the Duck, Cooper, David Sir, Eden, Gavin Gibson, Grant Gow, Harry Remedianakis, Eva, Jaden Easton, I'm just going to say Iva, Jaden Easton, John Van Hout, Jordan Hill, Carson Do a Backflip, Katie T, Liv Rob, Lukewarm, Martin Deff, Mary Lee Borslow, Meridian, Michael Rennie, Monopoly, Shrimp on the Barbie, Monroe Page, Nora B, Parks, Riley Oss, Sophia Arieta, Stella Perry, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Smitty Werbin, Jagerman Jensen, Tom Likes Beans, Vegard Strom, Wes Kinley, Xavier Faussier, Yusef A., and Zoe Hernandez McDonald. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, patrons.
Yep.
Great job.
Great job as always. All right. Well, that does it, Jeff. That
does it. Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I'm glad to be back in the United States because that puts me closer to my good friend Karsten. We actually were both in New York City simultaneously for like 2 hours.
I was just about to say that. Like, Jeff and I were together very briefly. I was actually out at dinner while you were there, so we weren't. Yeah.
I mean, I ate dinner as well. I ate at a Buffalo Wild Wings in the airport while I was waiting for my flight to Vermont, and I had a beer. That was a mistake. The beer at the airport cost $12.
Dude, airport beers and just food in general, it's just dumb.
Yeah. Oh, I spent $36 at this Buffalo Wild Wings. So good thing the patrons are supporting
patron money. Patrons are supporting these Buffalo Wild Wings trips.
It's a pipeline right into my pockets, out of the other pocket, into a Buffalo Wild Wings. But you heard it here first. By supporting the Karstcast, you're directly supporting Buffalo Wild Wings at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City. Yep.
Support local businesses. Yeah.
The Buffalo Wild Wings next to a duty-free shop. Okay, well, we'll see you
Jeff,
again at the same place. We'll see you again at the same place next week. Can't wait to talk to Karsten again. One of my favorite people in the world.
Thanks,
Karsten
Jeff.
Runquist.
You too. Anything else to say?
Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side. Flip side.